Hey everyone, this is Lisa from Life in Layouts, and today I am back with another process video using Bella Boulevard's Let's Scrapbook. I am actually going to scrap lift myself, but this layout takes a hard left turn. I was creating the Creative Friends layout, and I'll link that video here. When I was creating the layout, I noticed that there were a ton of these strips of word phrases. And I had remembered that I wanted to scrap lift this particular layout, and I thought, you know what, I could use all of those word strips with it, which is where I started. So on the right hand side of the layout, I configured the photos very similar to the layout that I'm scrap lifting. I have 5 photos of us from our Galentine's Day weekend. We just went around and took individual photos of everybody so that we could have kind of close ups of them with the intent of taking a photo with whatever we were working on. So I was working with Simple Stories Family Fun, and there were a couple ladies working with cards, and then 2 of the other ladies were also working on layouts. So this is where the layout takes that hard left. I knew I wanted to use this I Love to Scrapbook cutout, and I was going to back it. And my first thought was I can take this group shot of all of us and put all of the words on the layout like the other layout that I did. But it was just so busy. So then I thought, well, maybe I'll put the photo on the left-hand side at the top, and that'll help the photo stand out a little bit more. And then I'll just have the strips be equal, so it makes it a little less clutter. I definitely like that a lot better, so I decided to go ahead and bring in the right-hand side of the layout and figure out what I could do for that as well. I am still wanting to use all of these little pieces, but it just wasn't working. So I moved the photo back down to sit on top of the word scrapbook, and it stayed there briefly. And then I moved it back to the left hand side. I started looking through the embellishment pieces, and there were these embellishments that you would take to a crop, like a wagon that was full of boxes, your tool caddy. And I was like, you know what? That might work. So I might put that next to the word to and have that sit at the bottom. But I still wasn't liking that. So at this point, I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a break from the layout itself, and I'm going to back the cut file. I started out with this word paper that says I love scrapbooking in all the different colors, and it just repeats itself. I lined it up so that the word scrapbooking fit in the middle of it. So you see kind of a little bit of the heart, but I wanted to make sure that scrapbooking was the center. Once I get it down, you can really see how the heart frames that word scrapbooking. I do not do well with cut files. It took me a lot of time to cut these pieces out. I was always afraid that if I cut too much, then I would have a hole and I would have to recut the whole thing. So I did a lot of paper shaving. You can kind of see it a little bit in the upper left hand corner. I would just cut, cut, cut until it was right. Now I did also bring in the Doodlebug Petite prints, but for this one I actually only did it for the letter I. After I got that one down, I was like, you know what, I really should probably just use the pieces from the Bella Boulevard. So I just started working towards backing this cut file. I really liked the florals in that O. And the difference between this one and the other one that I did with the Creative Friends, I felt like there was a lot more space available, so these larger prints worked with this because I had like the R, the A, the P, the B, and all of these O's. They all had really large spaces in them, so the pattern paper really did stand out. I was even able to get the scissor paper in one of the O's, and I just love the way that that looks. I was able to actually get 3 full scissors in the center of it, and then there's some cut off scissors as well. I really wanted to make this paper work, but the images were just way too large. I would have loved to have this in a 6x6 paper pad so that the images would have been smaller and it would have worked perfectly in like either the R or the B. For this floral piece, I decided to use the letter A for that, and I framed it so that that pink heart almost looks like it would be like the center part of the A. This is another paper that I wish I would have had in the 6x6 because I think that the florals would have been really nice, just a little bit smaller. Not as small as the florals like in the O, so just down like to 80% as opposed to 100%. So as I'm working through backing the rest of the cut file, I just want to tell you a little bit about these photos. I love the fact that I have scrappy friends that are local. I've actually just got off of a Zoom crop with some ladies, and I love the fact that I'm able to crop with them via Zoom because they're all over, and that's awesome, and I love that. But I also like the fact that I can actually be in person with my local friends as well. We rented an Airbnb locally, and all of us were within like 30 minutes of the house, but it was nice to just get away and not have to worry about, everyday family life. Because we were in the Airbnb, we were able to have dinners at home. Everybody kind of took a shift in regards to one of the meals. The place also had a pool and a hot tub, so we were able to relax outside. This place was huge. It had the front living room, which is where we scrapbooked, and we were able to push the furniture all against the walls, and we brought our own tables. It also had another like living room, family room downstairs, along with the kitchen, and one of the bedrooms was downstairs. Upstairs, there was another living room as well as three other bathrooms. So there was lots of space, and it was really nice to get away with some local girlfriends and just spend the weekend scrapbooking. And I think I was able to complete 4 layouts during this weekend. So it was also nice to be able to get some layouts and put them up on my channel since I wasn't scrapbooking a lot back then. So I've gotten the cut file backed, and now I'm trying to figure out what to do. I thought if I could move the I love to scrapbook up to kind of the center, I just like the way that that looked better. And then I had a row of the die cuts with things that, again, that you would bring to the crop. Even though you're not going to probably bring a typewriter to a crop, I liked the saying. It says, "Today is a great day to create." And I toned down some of the word phrases. I didn't add as many as I originally planned to. The ones that end up staying on the layout says happy and scrappy, capture and create, eat, sleep, scrap, repeat, and memory making. I felt like all of those really encompassed a scrapbooking crop weekend. For this particular ephemera piece, I had seen one of the design team members for Bella Boulevard do this, and she did it with like all of the ones that came in the collection, and I was like, oh, that's a really cool idea. She cut all of the white pieces off of this little circle and then added a button to the center of it. I did use a pencil to roll the edges so it does stick up a little bit. Over on the right hand side, I added a tag that says, "Never let anyone treat you like your regular glue, your glitter glue, darling." And I added the little button piece underneath it. Also next to the photo, I added a tape runner as well as a heart. And then I decided that I was going to put the cut file up on fun foam. And since I had used all of my little tiny pieces on the previous one, I did have to cut the fun foam to make it back correctly. I used my T-square ruler to lay down the cut file. And then I did add some stamping blocks on top of it just to put a little bit of weight to it. Then I decided to put the ephemera pieces down at the bottom, again with that typewriter, the wagon, and then your tool caddy. And then I wanted 2 ephemera pieces in the center, and I wanted those to be popped up. And I felt like I needed very colorful pieces, so I added a heart that says, "Love these girls." And then I also added a rainbow that had the pink, orange, green, and teal colors to it. And I like the way that the fun foam gives it dimension against the flat pieces of the other embellishment pieces. I felt like the photo was getting lost on the white cardstock, so I did decide to mat it on this green tone-on-tone polka dots. And then I used my glue press to adhere the photo down. I tucked the tape runner underneath the photo and then added the pink heart up on fun foam. And I was able to have it touch the photo as well as the B in the word scrapbook, and then it overlapped the tape runner, and I felt like that really tied all of the pieces together. And I knew I wanted to add one more piece. I tried out that stapler, but it was just way too big. I looked through the Bella Pops, I couldn't find anything there, and I finally ended up with a button. And I'm going to poke some holes in the buttonholes and then just put a little bit of twine in the button. And I will tell you that I struggled with this because the button obviously is made out of paper. I first thought I was going to use this jute twine, but I couldn't get it to go through the holes, and it was too wide for the paper button. So I have this thread that's two colors, so it's like a pink and a white, and they swirl with each other. And I really like the way that it looks on the teal button. Then I use my T-square ruler to get all of those word phrases down. I will tell you that when I was working through this layout, I struggled with it. It's obviously not something that is my normal style. It's very busy. It's just different, is the best way to put it. And I like the way that this layout came out. It's not my favorite, but it is definitely different than what I normally have. But I still wanted to upload my process video and show you guys the layout because one, you guys might love it. You might think that it's the greatest thing in the world. And then two, even if you don't think it's the greatest thing in the world, you'll know that not every layout is a layout that I love. I'm still going to put it in my albums because it still tells the story. I haven't done the journaling yet for it. I need to do that. I'm going to actually probably do that at the end of the month in my July dark side video because right now I am just in the creative mode and I don't want to stop and take time to journal. So I did add the same pink and white string over to the far right hand side on that tag. I do like to use glue dots and I usually tend to add two of them. So I add them to the edge there and then I just cut off the ends of the strings so that it lays really nicely on the layout. Because that tag talks about glue, I thought that it would be nice to have a glue stick over there. So I add that to the cluster as well. I then pulled out the enamel shapes and I added some pieces to each one of the clusters as well as some hearts that I picked up from Freckled Fawn. And then I pulled out my color box in pink and added a pink heart over to the far right. Then I also added a blue enamel shape over to the far right as well. All right, so that is it for this video. If you enjoyed this layout or if you enjoyed this process video, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already and you want to see more double page layout inspiration, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope that you have a scrappy day.